Right, back at you guys with another one for today. Again, don't forget to check me out on BitChute. The channel name there is the same as it is on here, just in case or if I get banned. And really quick, I wanted to go over how I think it's actually possible for women to have it all, at least if they start making the correct steps at an early enough age. So we see in the world today, women, they want to be mothers, they want to have children, they want to have a family, and they also want to have a career. I guess the career thing for men or women, it's kind of an illusion. What you really end up getting is a job, but the order in which gals make decisions these days is entirely antithetical to achieving either of those goals, at least if you want to do a halfway decent job at either of them. You know, it doesn't take much to punch a clock and go to work, so it's like the amount of stuff they end up giving up in order to do that at an earlier age, I think is really unfair. And also why I think at the end of the day that this third wave, second wave, neo-feminism is actually more about harming women than it is about trying to get them to further their lives in a positive direction. So the way that young women can have it all is to simply have children early. I know that sounds all sorts of 17th century and whatever, but if you think about it, imagine you're 18, okay? For women, that is the beginning of, or depending on how you look at it, like kind of the later beginning of their peak of sexual market value. They're the most fertile, the most attractive, yada, yada. That starts to taper off around 22 or 23. So my suggestion would be to, if you're a younger woman, of course, under 20, let's say, to, if you want to have children, get with a guy that can take care of you and support you and the family early on. Now, I get there's a lot of rife between the genders now, understandably so. Again, thanks largely to this neo-feminist scourge we're faced with. But the fact of the matter is that if you're 18, 19, 20, 22, you will literally have a line out the door of men who would put a ring on it, wife you up, whatever you want to do. And what you can do from there is have your children, say you want 3 or 4 of them. Well, by the time they are no longer needing a ton of direct attention from their mother, a lot of people say from 6, 7, maybe 5 years old. After that, they're basically off doing their own thing, good to go and what have you. Obviously something to be taken care of, but you kind of get what the fuck I'm saying here. And when you're 27, 28, as a woman, again, you've got another, what, 50, 40 years to work, okay? So now your focus isn't gonna be split between the children and between working, and there's not going to be this hellhole of dual schedules. A lot of these dual income households have to work with that. If you get down to the brass tacks of it, ends up being, you know, a lot of these gals are taking home, the family, at least an extra $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year. And when you look at the damage that not having a mother in the home does, especially to young children, I just don't think it's worth it. So in that way, again, very simply and very quickly, gals can have it all. They just have to take the order that society tells them to do things in getting their lives set up, in going to school and getting their careers, you know, set up before their 20s. You know, do that after you have a children and family and a husband. If those things are what you want. If you don't want kids, then that's fine. Go do you, make a bunch of money, whatever. It's not that hard in the United States. So, but if you do want both, then you need to start early, like I say, 18, 19, 20. And you need to make sure you pick the right guy, of which there are plenty out there. Probably be a little bit older than you, but from what I understand, that's not too big of a deal for most gals. And that way you can have your kids, you can have your job, you can have everything, instead of this mad and insanely unfair dash of expecting women to go to school, get the job going, then find a guy when they're at the tail end of their reproductive attractiveness, and then try to scramble to do all these things at once. You know, it's like, what, you're gonna get the job, work for a year and a half, get pregnant, maternity. I mean, it just becomes a huge fucking mess. So to close off, that's why I think that fundamentally this new incarnation of the feminist, as I called it, a scourge, is exactly that, because it tells women to do things in an order that doesn't make sense, that's not fair to them, and at the end of the day puts them in a position where they're not good wives, they're not good mothers, simply by virtue of the amount of time they have to take up, or that's taken up by other things, and they're not even doing that well in their career because their focus is so split everywhere. I mean, we're all human, we can only do so much. I hope this video helps somebody. If you got any feedback, let me know, and I will see you guys again.